Hey guys, welcome back to sunny Indiana, and today we're going to continue our testing of Moondust and various firearms. In our previous video, we tested a Russian AK against some quality US-made AR-15s, and if you want to learn more about the outcome of that particular test, I'll put it in the link in the video description below. But based on some of the comments of that video, I thought, well, let's take a look at some other firearms that were suggested in the comment section. And one of those comments was, well, what about short stroke gas piston ARs? Because in the other video, we did include a long stroke gas piston AR made by PWS. And I thought, you know what, that would be a fair comparison. So we're going to rerun the test today on the most recent version of the commercially available HK 416, and that's it right here. It's called the MR556A4, and she is a beauty. And I am a bit reluctant to do this to this beautiful rifle, but it's all in the name of redneck science, so the testing shall be done. We will be using Federal M193 ball. We do want to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying the ammunition free of charge to the channel. Means the world to us. Been shooting that stuff since I was a kid, and it is the best ammunition I've ever used, especially some of their match ammo. Okay, so with that being said, we have our PMags loaded up. We will be using 15 rounds per test, and this is what the testing cycle is going to look like. We have a cup full of Moondust right here, and this is a fine powdery substance here on the MAC range. That is more like talcum powder. It's a mix of sand and dirt. This area used to be underwater, 150, 200 years ago. It was, the water was pumped out, and cornfields and soybean fields replaced the water that was here. So that's why we have kind of a unique sandy dirt type environment here. But it's very much like what you might know as Moondust. And so the first round of testing, we will do it with the rifle as you see here, unloaded, port cover closed. We'll get Moondust all over the gas system, and we'll get a close-up look of the gas system here for you guys. It's pretty much exposed here through the handguard. Port cover closed. We'll pour dirt all over this on both sides of the firearm. We'll fire 15 rounds. If it successfully passes that test, then we'll come back over here. We'll leave the port cover open so the bolt carrier group is exposed to the ejection port, and cover it once again in Moondust. If it does well there, then we may have an accidental disassembly and fumble with the parts, the bolt carrier group, in the dirt like we did in the previous video, and see how it performs after that. Should be fun, and I hope you appreciate this because I do love this HK, and I really feel guilty doing this to it. But again, it's all in the name of redneck science. Let's get started. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. I do want to address something very quickly based on a comment I saw on the previous video, and that's about lubrication. The rifles that we're testing are lightly lubed, okay? So if your weapon is dripping with lubricant, you're doing something very wrong. The rifle should have a very fine coat of oil on them. It's mostly there to prevent rust and things like that. So I do not soak my rifles in lubricant. That's absolutely crazy. It does not help with the function of the rifle. If anything, it impedes the function of the rifle, especially when doing tests like this. So with that being said, now we can get started. All right, so we're going to flip the rifle over. It does have an adjustable gas regulator system on it. It has suppressed and non-suppressed. It is in the non-suppressed mode, so it's getting full gas. We have the port cover closed. We're going to start off on this side. We're going to take some of our Moondust. My baby, I am so sorry for this. We're going to cover that entire gas system, and there's a lot of gas system there. We'll show you what that looks like. We'll come back here and cover the receiver in the Moondust. We'll flip her over. Again, that port cover is closed. Go ahead and cover up that gas system. Get plenty of dirt there and plenty of dirt on the receiver. All right, let's go see what she does. Oops, didn't pull the bolt all the way to the rear there. Not surprising. I mean, that's a pretty easy test, especially with the port cover closed. So we're going to go ahead and drop that bolt. We have one more magazine of 15 rounds. What we're going to do, turn the rifle over. You know what? I need some more Moondust. Trying to get the dry stuff, not the wet stuff. Dig down too deep, it gets a little moist. All right, not trying to get too much of the grass. And now we will cover the gas system once again. The receiver. Turn it over. Now this weapon does have a forward assist. That became kind of a critical feature in our last test. All right, here we go. Gonna load her up. Pretty impressive. All right, so we did not have to use the forward assist in that test. And that really hinges upon where the dirt gets into the action, whether or not you're going to have to use that forward assist. So the next test is where I have a little bit of an accident, right? We are, for whatever reason, I've decided to clean my weapon out in the field, and I dropped my parts into the Moondust. So that's the next segment we're going to film. All right, so I'm out in the field. I'm a little bit older. I'm fumbling around. I don't know quite what I'm doing. Maybe a little bit of senility has set in. And so I decide it's wise in the middle of the gunfight to take my weapon apart. And so in doing that, let's just go ahead and leave the T-handle in there for ease of reassembly. I'm going to take my bolt and carrier group, and oops, I dropped it in the Moondust. And then in my moment of stupidity, I roll it around and completely cover it. So all I can do right now is like shake it off really quick, wipe as much of it off as I can with my hand, and put it back into the rifle. Oop, got a pin there. A little bit of grit in the pinhole. And now, let's see how the HK performs. Click, no bang. All right, so this is not a tactics video. So yes, tap, rack, bang would be the normal procedure here to try to figure out what happened. What I'm trying to do is a sand test. So I'm going to check and see what the status is. Did it pick up another round? It did not. So it ejected the spent case. Magazine is fully inserted. So I'm just going to go ahead and chamber another round. So all that happened was it kicked the spent case out, but didn't have quite enough oomph to strip a fresh round, or it didn't go back far enough to pick up a fresh round. Another click, no bang. I did see brass fly, so my assumption is, yes, it did not come back far enough to pick up a round. Another click, no bang. It is set in the non-suppressed setting. That's suppressed, that's non-suppressed, so we do have full gas. Just want to make sure. Oh, looks like it's getting progressively worse, folks. All right. This one is going to require me to lock the bolt open. Try to lock the bolt open. Get out of there. Last round, and did not lock open. Well, isn't that interesting? Huh. Let's take it over the table, take it apart, take a look inside, see what's going on. Well, both Jason and I are a bit speechless, folks. We did not expect that result. When it chambered the round after having the bolt rolled around and then carrier rolled around in the dirt with no forward assist required, like, man, this HK's got it in the bag, but then it started short stroking. And you can't blame it on the ammo. That is full power M193 ammo. It's not 223 commercial range ammo. So what went wrong? Well, as I've said, at least in the previous video, I can take a pinch of dirt like this and put it in a specific spot in any firearm. I don't care how reliable you think it is, I can cause that weapon to malfunction. So if dirt gets into the wrong spot, it can cause that weapon to go down. That's why we say this is not a scientific test. There's nothing scientific about how I rolled the bolt and carriers around in the dirt or how I'm dumping dirt on the gun with a little red cup, okay? But we're trying to be consistent, and this is about as good as we can do. With all that being said, let's take a look inside this thing and see if anything pops out at us. But clearly what was happening was that the bolt and carrier were not cycling all the way to the rear far enough to pick up a fresh round. It was coming back far enough to kick out the empty, but it wasn't going far enough back to pick up a fresh round and chamber it. So that tells me it was a bolt carrier velocity issue. Now taking a look at this, it's not really that dirty. There's nothing in the slot there for the cam pin. It moves freely. There's a spring in there that goes around the firing pin. I mean, if anything, I would think this should be working fine. The safety's intact and working fine. That makes no sense to me. That is a pretty surprising outcome. If you take a look inside the trigger group there, nothing in the trigger group, but guys, we weren't having problems with trigger reset or any of that. The buffer tube doesn't feel gritty at all. I feel no grit in that, and that's a really heavy spring. Maybe it's too heavy, but if you even take a look inside the receiver, it's not like it is very dirty. It's not super gunked up. I don't know if I got a flashlight on me, I might help the camera to see a bit more inside there. But it's not all gunked up. It's actually got a fairly light coat of moon dust, but this goes back to why we're doing it with this particular type of material. This moon dust stuff, as I said, gets into everything. It's like a talcum powder, and it's very hard on weapon systems, all weapon systems. But given what I see with the bolt, there's certainly nothing here to indicate that it got a lot more gunk in it than any of the other rifles we've tested thus far. All they can say to that is, that's depressing. HK, you just got owned by a BCM DI gun. You know what I'm going to do, though? I'm just going to take a rag. I'm just going to wipe it down very quickly. I have to go grab one. Just wipe it down very quickly as if I'm in the field and see if I can get this thing back up and running just very quickly. Be right back. So one other thing that we wanted to talk about, because we thought of it after we filmed the last segment, was the gas system. What does it look like and how did it handle all of this? Because it is an exposed gas system. All those M-lock slots let dirt and gunk get directly onto the piston system. But here you can see the piston's moving freely, as it should. That's its full travel. This is how you would take it apart. There's your little puck. Everything seems to be as it should be with the gas system as well. But you know what? While we got it apart, let's go ahead and wipe it down too. So we'll just hit it with a little bit of Earl here. Wipe it off. Some quick field maintenance. Hit the puck here real quick. Put our gas system back together. Just got to make sure I put it together right. All right, our gas system is back together. Go ahead and put our handguard back on. All right, got the handguard back on. We'll just take the bolt and carrier. We're not going to completely field strip it. We're just going to get some lubricant on everything. Wipe off the excess. Just a very quick field cleaning. Get a little bit of Earl on the rag here. Hook it through the receiver. Try to wipe out any gunk we can get very quickly out of here. All right, that's all she's getting. Feels pretty smooth. Let's see what she's got. All right, still didn't quite lock open, but it did cycle all rounds. Not what I expected. After that quick cleaning, there is absolutely no reason, based upon what we saw inside the rifle of the components. Gas system is still set to its normal setting. There's no reason for those failures. That is really depressing. I expected this thing to at least run as good as the BCM from the last video. Certainly not to have the problems that we saw pretty much with the PWS system and its long stroke gas piston. And perhaps this goes back to what I've always said. I am a DI guy. Internal piston, don't want to get into all that, but I am a DI guy. And I always have been. I've never felt that these types of hybrid systems with gas pistons really brought anything to the table. But there's a lot of folks out there that insist this is a superior way to manufacture an AR-15 or M16. But that's just not been been something that I've experienced in my case over the years. I've noticed the DI system is incredibly reliable and robust. Now, this is a sample set of 1, and this is not a scientific test. I am not condemning the MR556A4. I'm just saying I'm shocked by the outcome of this test. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What could have went wrong? Why did it experience the failures that it had? And do you like DI over short stroke or long stroke gas piston hybrid systems in the AR-15? Let us know down below. So Jason brought up a good point, because this may come up in the comment section. Are these the same magazines that we've been using? Yes, but the magazines were cleaned prior to starting another test. And his question was, well, are the magazines gritty? And the answer to that is no. No grit in the magazine whatsoever. As you can see, magazines are just fine. There's no sand or any signs of sand anywhere in the magazine. And this was the last magazine we used, and one of the 2 that we've been using on our testing today. So, it's not the magazine. It's definitely in the rifle somewhere, and I don't know what that would be. You know, like many of you watching this video, we've read over the years how superior the 416 is to the standard M4 or A2, A4, or whatever, just the standard M16. And it's easy to believe those reports. But that's one thing that we do here at the Military Arms Channel. We try to test things ourselves. I do trust some of my peers out there. There's some really good, people that write articles out there. There's really good video creators out there. But you always have to test stuff for yourself if you truly want to know, especially when you're talking about a defensive rifle. And this is a rifle that I would have seriously considered for self-defense. And I'm not saying I wouldn't consider it going forward, but the outcome of this test does cause me pause, and it certainly does nothing to unseat me from my loyalty to the direct gas impingement system, internal piston, of rifles like the BCM, which is my preferred AR-15. So in the end, yeah, Jason and I were both let down by the performance of the 416 here. And yeah, I still think it's a great rifle, shoots great, feels great, certainly high quality, but something seems a little bit amiss. Let us know in the comments down below what you think. What other types of tests would you like to see us conduct? Do you like these Moondust tests? Let us know. That's how we can better serve you guys with new and fresh content. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel so we can continue to bring you content like this, please consider becoming part of our Patreon family. YouTube demonetized us long ago. Speaking of that, right here on YouTube, you got a little subscribe button underneath the video player you're watching right now. You can hit that subscribe button, and you can support us right here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. Plus, you get some extra perks in both cases. Thank you for 17 years of support. Please swing by, check out Copper Custom, and we will talk to you guys soon.